You think you know your friends. Until one day, they tear down everything you thought you had with a single text. This is the story of a friendship that crashed and burned, not with yelling or betrayal, but with a quiet truth that had been simmering for years. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be questioning what loyalty really means. Let's talk about two women, the storyteller, who we'll call Casey, and her longtime friend. Let's call her Brianna. They've known each other for years. They've been through high school drama, breakups, job searches, the full roller coaster of early adulthood. But now they're 30. And something isn't sitting right with Casey. Casey has always been the one to show up for Brianna. When Brianna had a breakup, Casey was there. When Brianna got fired, Casey helped rework her resume. When Brianna moved apartments for the third time in 2 years, Casey lifted furniture and brought pizza. But here's the thing. When Casey needed help, Brianna was nowhere to be found. She'd flake, make excuses, or worse, turn the conversation back to herself. At first, Casey brushed it off. Maybe Brianna's just busy. Maybe she doesn't realize. But over time, the pattern got harder to ignore. Let's rewind a bit. Casey went through a rough patch. She got laid off. She lost a close family member. She was struggling. And Brianna? She sent a few, that sucks texts, then ghosted for weeks. No calls, no visits, no, how can I help? Just silence. And then, out of nowhere, Brianna sends Casey a message. Hey, are we okay? I feel like we've been distant lately. Classic move. Like the last 6 months, never happened. That message, that was the tipping point. Casey didn't hold back. She replied with raw honesty, no sugarcoating. She said, I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm just a background character in your life. You don't listen. You don't show up. You talk about yourself, your problems, your life. But when I'm in pain, it's like I don't exist. I'm not mad. I'm just tired. And I can't keep pretending this friendship is mutual when it's not. Brianna was stunned. She replied with a flurry of defensive messages. How could you say that? I've always been there. You're being so dramatic. But Casey didn't budge. She knew this wasn't a one-time miscommunication. This was years of imbalance finally catching up. The aftermath? They haven't spoken since. Now, here's where things get interesting. When Casey shared this story online, reactions were explosive. Some people called her cold, others called her brave, and some just said, finally, someone said it. So let's break this down. Why does this story hit so hard? Because almost everyone has a Brianna in their life. That friend who takes more than they give, who loves the sound of their own voice, but never asks how you're really doing. And the truth is, many of us are afraid to walk away. We think loyalty means endurance, no matter how tired we get. But here's the truth. Loyalty without reciprocity is self-abandonment. Casey didn't explode. She didn't humiliate Brianna. She just finally said what needed to be said. And in doing so, she chose herself. Now let's talk about the emotional layers here, because this wasn't just about one friendship. This was about boundaries, about growing up and realizing not every friendship is meant to last forever, about recognizing when love becomes labor, and more importantly, this was about grief. Yes, grief, because ending a friendship, especially one with deep roots, can be just as painful as a breakup. It's mourning what was, and accepting that the person standing across from you isn't who you hoped they'd become. So, What can we learn from this? First, pay attention to who claps when you're winning, but also pay attention to who sits with you in silence when you're hurting. Support isn't just about celebration, it's about presence. Second, it's okay to outgrow people. In fact, it's natural. The version of you who tolerated emotional neglect, she's not here anymore. She evolved, and she deserves better. Third, sometimes the kindest thing you can do for both people is walk away, not out of hate, but out of truth. And now, let's talk directly to you, the listener. Have you ever been in Casey's shoes? Or maybe you've been Brianna, the one too caught up in your own chaos to see someone else's pain. Let's be honest, we've all played both roles at some point. The real growth comes from recognizing it and doing better. Friendship is a two-way street, and if you're always the one walking, eventually you'll get tired. Here's something else. If a friend opens their heart to you with hard truth, don't dismiss them. Don't call them dramatic. Listen, reflect. Ask yourself, have I shown up the way they needed? Because friendship isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. Now let's stir the pot a little. Was Casey too harsh? Should she have given Brianna one more chance to change? Or did she do exactly what more people need to do? Stop tolerating one-sided relationships. Let us know in the comments. Do you think friendships can survive that kind of honesty? Or is it the beginning of the end once someone says, I can't stand how you treat me? Here's my personal take. And I don't say this lightly. I think Casey was right. I think we glorify loyalty in American culture to the point of self-betrayal. We're taught to stick it out, to forgive, to endure. But there comes a moment, a defining moment, when silence becomes complicity. And Casey refused to stay silent. That takes courage. That takes growth. And maybe, just maybe, that's what real self-love looks like. This has been AITA Stories, where we don't just tell stories. We unpack the messy, the meaningful, and the moments that make us human. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments, who do you need to have that hard conversation with? Thanks for listening. And remember, you're allowed to outgrow the people who stopped watering you.